3, 2, 1, let's jam, because your geek history lesson on Cowboy Bebop is now in session. Hello and welcome to Geek History Lesson. I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And I'm Jason Peppers Inman. Welcome to your Mind University, because this is Geek History Lesson, the podcast where we take one character, one show, one construct, and tell you everything you need to know about it in a little bit less than an hour. That's right. It is a Geek History Lesson. It's literally in the title of the show. Very straightforward. And today we are talking about something that the cool kids like to dance around and something that the old men like to watch. It's the combination of the two. It's a cowboy and it's a bebop smashed together. That's right, Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
Did you get to understand the sock hop
I didn't really know where you were going with that, but I was enjoying intern Kat Brago snoozing through this lesson.
We are at the 1 minute mark and you're already snoozing?
Bored, already tired of it.
Typical intern. But yes, we're talking about Cowboy Bebop. Why are we talking about Cowboy Bebop?
Because even though for my entire life I've heard that they're adapting it into live action, they finally did it.
Finally did it.
And it is coming out this week. So this is a pretty requested episode. It's something I've wanted to show you for a long time, so we're talking some Cowboy Bebop.
I think we always knew that if somebody was going to adapt this into live action, it was either going to be Netflix or Redbox, and I'm glad that Netflix got there first.
Jeez, yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about some fan casting options, because I think you'll be interested in them in particular.
You may not know the answer to this question, and if you get it wrong, I'm certain the internet will scream at you no matter what. But Ashley, I'm
never wrong.
You're never wrong. That's correct. Yes, that is correct. And
thank you,
Ashley.
One of us graduated from UCB and it wasn't me.
As far as you know, was there never any other live action adaptations of Cowboy? Like, is there no like cheapy internet film or
I mean, there could be a fan film, but no.
No studio in Japan tried a live action, as far as you know.
As far as I know.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right.
So.
All right. Okay. So
Can I tell you who the TAs are?
Yes, we have a lot of people that requested this episode, which I'm actually kind of surprised by. All right.
So our TAs, this one is a real throwback to like maybe year 1 or 2 of the podcast, is a good friend, sweet friend of the pod, Chaim Steinberg, of the frequently mispronounced name, at Spider_Hawk, Joel the Geek, Adam Grunther, and at Edgar_M89, all requested that we cover Cowboy Bebop. So thank you, and you're welcome.
Yeah, and if you'd like to request future lessons, you can do that, of course, on Twitter at GHL Podcast, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Geek History Lesson. 2 places. That's where all these people requested these lessons. It's the only 2 places we look.
Yeah. Request Attack on Titan next.
Yeah. Or if you're a patron. Sometimes your patron will look it up.
That's true. So, yeah.
Only if you're nice. No.
All of our patrons are nice.
They are.
I will
super
say
cool.
that if that is something that is keeping you from checking out the Discord or the Patreon, everyone there is so lovely. I cannot say enough nice things about
I think
our
in the Discord
friends.
we have like Mental Health Wednesdays, which is so cool.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we have a good time. We're very supportive.
We do.
We're very supportive.
Speaking of being supportive,
shout out to
Ashley,
Jake Hefner. Yeah.
I'm supporting you. We're going into the 10-cent origin, right?
Yeah, what's that?
The 10-cent origin was Ashley's going to tell you the basic tenets of this very special episode of Geek History Lesson, because you might go to a cocktail party.
God, that would be so cool. Please invite me to your Cowboy Bebop themed cocktail parties.
On Mars.
That's right. Hey, you remembered.
And if somebody says, yo, what's up with the bebopping and the cowboying? And you'd be like, oh, I got you. I'm going to tell you all about this corgi.
Cowboy Bebop for me is like such a perfect illustration of an anime title where you're like, both of those words do have something to do with this.
Sort of.
But in English, they don't quite translate the same way, but it sounds cool, so we're just going to leave it. It's like Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. You're like, that's a cool title, but it's not quite. So 10-cent origin. Cowboy Bebop is a Japanese science fiction neo-noir space western animated series.
I think they should throw a couple more genres in there.
Yeah. Whoever wrote that copy did a really good job. It was created by, and please, I don't speak Japanese, so I'm doing my best, and I mean it with respect. The series was created by Hajime Yatate and is written by Keiko Nobumoto. It aired from April to June 1998 On the TV Tokyo broadcast channel, they only aired 12 of the original 26 episodes because of the adult content of this series. It got flagged for being too adult.
Oh, wow. Okay.
For TV Tokyo. It then moved to Wow Wow channel in October of 1998, where the rest of the series, the back 14 episode, aired. It first aired internationally on ABC2 in Australia and was brought to America by Adult Swim's Toonami in the early aughts. Fun fact, Cowboy Bebop was the first anime purchased and aired on Adult Swim.
Oh, say that one more time again. I'm sorry.
Cowboy Bebop was the first anime purchased and aired on Adult Swim.
Purchased and aired. Okay, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I misheard. I slurred my words.
No. I just misheard you.
We love to record drunk. I'm just kidding.
Whoa!
I don't drink.
Talk about a Cowboy Bebop. Whoa.
Unlike a lot of the other anime projects that we have talked about on the show, we're very Miyazaki heavy where that is concerned. Cowboy Bebop is not an adaptation. It was developed and designed to be a television show. It was not a manga before.
Which is strange because it feels like it is a manga.
Well, there have been some after that.
Oh,
there were some that spun out of the series. It is held up as both one of the greatest anime of all time and is considered a gateway series for many English-speaking viewers due to the popularity of the original English dub.
Cool.
A little plot summary before we get into the main lesson. In the year 2071, which feels a lot closer now than it did when I first watched the series, roughly 50 years after an accident with a hyperspace gateway made Earth almost uninhabitable, humanity has colonized most of the rocky planets and the moons of the solar system. The series protagonists are bounty hunters working on the spaceship Bebop.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
And it is adapted to live action by Netflix in 2021, starring John Cho as Spike Spiegel. And that is your 10-cent origin.
Great. What's the next section of the podcast?
It's the Meet Cute. What's that?
It's a section of the podcast that I don't know what we're doing on this episode because it's where we tell you where we first meted and cuted Cowboy Bebop.
So I wanted to ask, I know this is your first time watching it. That's sort of what, but like...
Can I answer this question, Ashley?
Yes.
I first meted and cuted Cowboy Bebop 3 days ago at the time of this recording.
But I wanted to ask, maybe do you remember having heard about it before? Did you... I don't think you had Toonami.
No, I didn't have a Toonami. So... I've heard of Cowboy Bebop before a lot from you because you have told me for a very long time that you thought that this would be, as everybody knows, I'm very picky when it comes to anime. And I weirdly hold anime to a higher bar than I do other stuff. And I think maybe because in my lifetime, my high school and my college friends had bad pickers when it came to anime, and I watched a lot of really bad anime, and it soured me on most of it. And so from that point forward, I was always like, you have to climb a certain bar, anime, as a genre, or else I do not care. And Cowboy Bebop is one that a lot of people have always said, oh, I think you would like it, knowing your sensibilities. You have said that several times. I was aware of the name. I was not aware it was a science fiction show.
That was a discussion we had before we watched
when like it starts in space. I was quite taken aback. I thought it was just like a weird Western, a 1930s kind of Western set in the past because I saw the suits. And I knew sort of like the 30s gangster aspect of it. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, and I think I've kind of always known the guy was named Spike. But I couldn't tell you what he looked like. Like if somebody showed me a picture of Spike before I saw this episode, I would have never been able to pick it out in a million years. Same with the theme song. You could have played the theme song for me, and I know that is very iconic. Would have
Tank by the Seatbelts.
Would have never in a million years said, oh, that's Cowboy Bebop.
So when I was a teenager and...
How about you?
Back in my day, when we would burn CDs for each other, I used to love to open a burned CD with the Cowboy Bebop theme song.
Would you give your mom Cowboy Bebop opener CDs?
Yes. Yeah. No, my mom knows the Cowboy Bebop theme song.
She would press play. She's like, again, Ashley?
No, I mixed it up for her. I made her good CDs.
I love it. That's what you think. She probably said that she loved them because she's a good mother.
I don't know. I also opened one with Once Upon a December from Anastasia, which is a really, really great song. But when I was sort of at the height of my anime fandom around the age of 16, which I feel like is when a lot of people come to a crux, I went back and I wanted to engage with some of, like, Cowboy Bebop is seminal, right? If even if you've never seen it, you've heard of it. So I had a copy that I procured from the internet with Russian subtitles.
Russian subtitles.
Okay. Well, it had Cyrillic subtitles. I assume it was Russian. To be fair, it could have been Ukrainian or a different language. And then I rewatched those same versions when I was living in New York for university. And then I rewatched the pilot with you.
Yes.
3 days ago.
Yeah.
For anyone curious at home, the pilot was written as a long form 2-episode arc. It originally aired in 2 different parts. So we only watched the first part of the pilot. Well, technically, we watched the first episode, but not the full pilot.
So I guess this would be our signal too that we're now moving into the discussion.
Yes. Yeah,
right. So everybody, just to let you know, we said this is going to be a very special episode. So what we did with this episode is we're going to talk about the first episode, the first 30 minutes or 22 minutes.
It's like 22 minutes.
Of Cowboy Bebop. Yeah. And we did that because even though, and I know a lot of people are like, even though
then you can review the full one on your podcast.
Exactly. Go make your own podcast.
Please share your link and we'll share it.
Yeah, please do. But so we only watched episode 1 because they have never been packaged any other way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you were only to ever watch the first episode, that's the episode you would see. You would not see both parts. So that's what we watched. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to go full spoilers into the anime episode. And
we're going to go full spoilers for the whole series.
I don't know if I want to know full spoilers for the whole series.
Okay. Well, then we will talk about some key plot points of the full series.
We're going to talk about the first episode because I took the dip and I decided, okay, I'm going to take the try for GHL. I carried the flag.
Look, we've both watched things we didn't think we wanted to watch.
That's right for this thing.
We watched Fantastic Four for you.
That's true. We did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Anyways, for the Patreon, I think we did. But anyways. And from that, Ashley's going to give me some tidbits and use some tidbits about where the series is going. And then, I'm going to review the pilot and I'm going to give my rating on whether I think I want to watch more or not. So stay tuned. What's that song?
That's The Little Mermaid. That's Look at the Stuff, isn't it neat?
What does that have to do with Cowboy Bebop?
I don't know. It just felt like I just felt it in the moment. I was like, bring a little Ariel into it. Okay, so History 101. The pilot opens with Spike Spiegel in space on a ship. And it's interesting because the opening few minutes are these beautiful spacescapes where they're not doing a ton to tell you the rules of the world or how anything works. They are just throwing you in it and saying, you're smart enough, you'll figure this out. So Spike and his first mate / cook, Jet Black, are dining together on Jason's favorite joke of the episode.
You mean this is where he likes peppers?
Bell peppers and beef, but they never have beef.
I thought he said beans.
Yeah.
I thought he said beans. But again, the first scene of this is this guy being like, I got peppers. What about beef? Don't have beef. And then the last scene of this pilot is also like, I got peppers. What about beef? Don't have beef.
Well, you are a Western aficionado. We did a Jason and Ashley this year, all about Westerns. A huge part of and this borrows from a lot of genres, but a huge part of the Western storytelling trope is the meals around the campfire. And to me, Jet and Spike are sort of the BFF brothers in arms. It's you open and close with them around.
You think that's what they're going for?
Their campfire. Yes, I think so.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
And then it's also a classic Western thing that you take on a job because you got no money. And maybe you do a job you don't really want to do because all you got is beans or peppers, as the case may be. So like all of this to me, I know it's in space and there's the beautiful spacescapes of like the hyperdrives and stuff like that. And we see the Bebop. Bebop is the name of the ship. Cowboy is Spike, if anyone...
Yeah, well, they do that. There's that one moment where they literally hit it right on the head where Spike says, well, I guess I'm just a cowboy.
Yeah.
I actually expected him.
So and he does get called cowboy later on.
So I will tell you this. From watching this pilot, I had no idea, none, that the ship was called Bebop. Not one single clue that ship was called Bebop from watching that pilot.
Well, there is a scene where we go over the side of the ship and you see the name, but that's it.
I missed it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So that's news to me.
That might have been when you were. Jason did take notes through the whole thing. So
that's right.
That might have been when you were taking.
Okay. But
that's the only time. He's never like, this is my girl, the Bebop.
Oh, see, I was when Spike said, "Oh, I'm just the cowboy," I was fully expecting him to complete the thought and be like, "I'm just the cowboy Bebop," and I was gonna be like, "That's a thing in this universe. There are cowboy Bebops."
That's so cute and so funny. So, like I mentioned, Jet and Spike are bounty hunters. Again, that's a very classic cowboy job.
Being bounty hunters is very Western, and also space is a frontier, like the Western North American continent.
And Spike is from, we learned this in a later scene, but Spike is from Mars. And it is a very classic Western trope that the outsider from a different town or a different county or a different state, or sometimes in more modern stories, a different country, rides into town to bring usually his or her or their brand of justice. So to me, I'm like, this is all cowboy stuff. It's just dressed up like Spacey Space. So they need money. They go to Earth. They are hunting down a nasty piece of work called Azimov. We see him on a little printout.
Named for?
Isaac
Asimov, yes. A very famous writer.
Laws of Robotics.
Yes. One of the most famous science fiction writers of all time.
Yeah, if you've never read Azimov, do yourself a favor and revisit that.
He's responsible for I, Robot.
Yes, he is. I, Robot, good book. It was a short story. It's a novella.
It's an okay movie.
Haven't seen it. So.
Starring Will Smith.
Haven't seen it. So they go to Earth. They're bounty hunting for Azimov, and on their printout, we get such keywords as syndicate. So implicitly, there are gangs on Earth. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the rest of the series. And there are crime families, crime bosses moving within that. That kind of embraces the neo-noir angle is attached to this.
So you stop on this word. So is syndicate going to be an important thing going forward? Like, is the idea that in the Cowboy Bebop universe that there are sort of crime families, sort of like the Hutts in Star Wars? Yes,
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Where we'll talk a little bit more about them and specifically about the main syndicate is called Red Dragon.
Ah, okay.
But pause on that for now.
Well, I don't want any spoilers.
So Azimov and his pregnant girlfriend,
Katarina.
Yes. We see.
I remember that.
You did.
I didn't remember the ship was called Bebop.
You remember
Katarina.
Here's the thing. Here's a criticism I will lob at Cowboy Bebop.
Please.
It comes out of that 80s and 90s anime series where if you have a young person, you might want to cover their ears for the next 5 seconds.
Oh, boy.
All the ladies got real big titties for no reason. And she is incredibly buxom for literally no reason. And they are on display, again, for no reason.
Actually, I don't even know if we can say that word without the explicit tag.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you.
It's not explicit. It's not a curse.
There's a million other words you could have picked. I did not expect the TT word.
Large chested. Their female characters are highly, highly sexualized.
By the way, I just am imagining that about half of our listeners were like, "Woo, Ashley!" and about half our listeners were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Someone clutched their pearls for sure.
Clutching the pearls.
If you clutched your pearls, let me know.
If you have a necklace of pearls that you'd like to send to us, email us at Geek.
We'll give you our new P.O. Box address. We have a new P.O. Box.
Hey, everyone out there listening right now, did they make a model of the Bebop? They had to, right?
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have one.
I'm going to Google it right now.
I bet they did.
They had to.
So Azimov and Katarina are basically drug dealers. They have a drug called Bloody Eye, which you think is going to kind of be like heroin to the nth degree or cocaine to the nth degree. We see Azimov go back into a room and utilize it. And he basically, like Jason said, hulks out. He gets into this berserker rage. Yeah. So he slaughters everybody in the Western bar, wherever it is that they are on Earth.
This is something that I really liked because this was a surprise to me. I did not expect the drug to be an enhancement.
Yeah.
And I really liked it because when they
did you notice that Jet has a robot arm?
What?
Yeah, Jet has a robotic arm, but it's colored very similarly to his flesh.
No.
So there are augmented humans.
Oh boy.
So there, that is a part of the world is that there are augments and things like that.
Well, when he first drugged himself up, basically.
Yeah.
His eyes increased, and they do. Oh, here we go. Hold on, everybody. Here we go. It's everybody's favorite segment.
Woo!
Model Corner. Actually, on Amazon right now, there is a Bandai.
Of course, it's Bandai.
The Swordfish 2 Bebop model.
Oh, that's cool.
It's only 100.
That's the little jump ship that they take to go down to Earth.
Oh, that's not the Bebop?
No, that's the jump. That's
okay.
That's the Swordfish.
I did not succeed. I don't know if I would recognize the Bebop.
The Bebop because
Is that the Bebop?
No.
Oh, jeez.
The Bebop kind of looks like like Serenity, because Firefly borrows pretty much everything good about it from this series in terms of tone and archetype and a junky ship.
Ashley, is this the Bebop?
Yes.
Finally. Oh my God. 3 attempts. The little jump ship looks so much cooler than the Bebop.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Well, apparently there's a model on eBay. Let's see how much.
We'll find it. We'll link it.
Let's see. Here we go. $469 for the Bebop Spacecraft model replica. Small, free shipping. Who has this? Where is this at? We're going to get details. It's in the Philippines.
Well, that's so shipping, but also they probably haven't made them for quite a while.
It's in Makati City, Metro Manila, Philippines.
Manila. If you're
listening in Makati City in the Philippines right now, shoot us an email.
Sure, we'll send you a sticker.
Yeah, I'll send you a sticker. And why don't you buy this Bebop model for us?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So Azimov kicks the butts, kills everybody in the saloon. Spike and Jet show up to try and find him. Then they are also chased down by some of the other syndicate members who are also looking for Azimov. They have a fighty. Spike gets his butt kicked by Azimov and Katarina. And then we cut to a really neat scene where they're trying to sell this product, which we learn they have stolen from the syndicate, which is why the syndicate's also trying to kill them, along with our Cowboy Bebop crew who just wants some money. Spike waits for them at the next place that they're trying to drop off, and he dresses up in his Clint Eastwood cosplay in order to act as the buyer to try and bring them in.
He wears a poncho.
Yes, and you pointed out when we were watching that that's a very intentional choice, and you thought it was definitely a nod to The Man with No Name.
Yes, it is specifically a reference to The Man with No Name from the Fistful of Dollars trilogy. Because he wears a poncho. Clint Eastwood's character wears a poncho exactly like that. Every person that wears a poncho in a Western, that is exactly what you're aping from. I will say one thing that I really liked in this show is I thought the music was really good.
The music is...
I thought the music was fantastic.
Is iconic. The show is noted for its soundtracks.
But I'm going to say this, and I think I'm going to get a lot of criticism for it. I'm uncertain on the theme song.
How dare.
I
love the theme song.
I think the images in the theme song look great.
Yeah.
I think the theme song is a little goofy.
Interesting.
But I like the music during the show. I like the score.
You did mention that a couple times as we watched it. Yeah.
It's pretty good. And I guess maybe because I want the opening theme to be the music that I hear during the show and not, I don't know.
Well, the opening theme is much
Again, I've only seen 20 minutes of this show.
So I want to give a shout out to Yoko Kanno, who composed and arranged all of the music in Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
She does great work. The theme song, Tank, to me is much more of a...
Tank's the band or Tank's the composer?
Tank is the name of the song. The band that performs it is called The Seatbelts.
The Seatbelts.
It's much more in the noir gangster vein. And the music that we saw in Stray Dog Strut Part 1 it's Western music. It is like American spaghetti Western inspired strings and instruments and stuff like that. They confront Azimov at the second location. They get into a giant fight, and then they all get back into their jump ships to flee into the atmosphere. And in there, they notice that the syndicate is waiting for them, and there's a huge battalion of ships waiting just outside the atmosphere. So Azimov and Katarina Asimov's freaking out. He's going further and further into his rage. Katerina, in an effort to save him, knowing that they will die, shoots him and then ejects herself into space. And there's a beautiful shot where, because we learn that she's not actually pregnant, in her pregnant belly, they're hiding all of the bloody eye. So her body, as it was blown away and sucked into the vacuum of space, is sort of curled in a fetal position. It looks like she's giving birth to all these vials. It's really eerie and beautiful.
I actually gonna say, I actually thought the smartest piece of writing, it was earlier when she first gets into the cockpit with the guy, Azimov. She rips open her pregnant stomach, and that's where you find out that's where all the drugs are. I actually thought that was really genius because I actually thought she was pregnant.
And isn't it weird to be like, why is there a pregnant lady running around doing these drug deals?
And I thought that was really good. And there's a moment before she shoots Azimov that they do this long jazz bit that it almost feels like a weird crime noir, and they do a slow zoom from his eye to her eye.
And they've been making aggressive eye contact, and she calls him cowboy.
Well, she goes, see you, space cowboy. That's what she says.
Yes,
I wrote it down.
Great line.
It's that movement is goofy and then really awesome.
Well, that's anime though, highly stylized for no reason sometimes.
But also it really fits into, this is one of the things where I thought Cowboy Bebop did well, is that there are some parts where whoever made this, the gentleman that made this or the women or whoever made this, you can tell they love Sergio Leone and all the spaghetti westerns. Like these camera movements and this style is 100% Sergio Leone.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. He loves the slow zoom. He loves the whip pan and all this stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, the whip pans for sure, with a whip crack sometimes.
It's just interesting to see it in animation.
Yes, where you're aping a literal physical movement with things like motion lines.
Yes, yeah. And then like mixing the jazz into it. Yeah.
And then the closing scene of the episode is we reprise Jet and Spike back on the Bebop. Spike is doing his kung fu or karate training moves like we saw, because that's a subtle way to let us know that he's a good fighter. And Jet's like, hey, we got beef and peppers again.
Got some beans.
Yeah. And then we end with our two cowboys with no bounty, and kind of in the same place that they were before. Yeah. They're sort of destitute out on the range, and that's the pilot episode of Cowboy Bebops.
Okay, where do we want to take this? Do we want to like learn my favorite scenes and actors, or we want to go talk about the series a little bit more? What do you think? What's better?
I think we should talk a little more about the series.
Okay.
Because that might inform or sway or change some of your thoughts.
Okay.
And then we'll leave you to wrap up a little closer to the end. So, couple notes on the series.
And there's only 26 episodes?
Only 26 episodes.
Okay.
And then we're going to run through all the characters because we didn't meet any of the cast in this episode at all.
I know, because I knew there was a woman coming and she didn't show up.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought Katerina was the woman for a long time.
Yeah, I think you asked me that at one point. I was like, not her hair too long.
Yeah.
So as you may know, the lead's name is Spike Spiegel. He is going to be played by John Cho. So Jason, for years and years, can you guess who fans wanted to play this role?
Oh,
Asian American leading man, 90s.
Okay.
Early 2000s.
Okay, give me a second. Who? Okay, the 90s?
Yeah.
Early 2000s too?
Yes, yeah.
Interesting.
Because it came to America in like 2000.
Oh, that's right. Because I think it was made in 98, right?
98 but that's when it aired in Japan.
Yeah. I came in 2000. Oh man, who would have been?
He's the lead of like the biggest movie of 1999.
Oh, Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Keanu Reeves was the fan cast choice for Spike for as long as I can remember.
I think he would have been a terrible Spike.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Why do you? Because to me, Spike and John Wick are not dissimilar.
Oh, no. To me, Spike, Keanu is very good at playing chill, emotionless people.
Yes.
Which is who John Wick is.
Yeah.
And again, I've only seen one episode.
Yeah.
But Spike is not emotionless.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
He's very passionate.
Yes.
And he's very loud.
And he's silly, yeah.
And he's clumsy.
Like, think about the scene where he's laying on the ground next to the jump ship and then Jet has to come and, like, pick him up.
It's so funny because, like, my mind, like, when you said, like, early 2000s, my mind went to who played Harold and Kumar? And I was trying to think. Oh, you know what?
John Cho.
John Cho.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I thought you were making a joke, and then you were like, and then I realized it was John Cho.
Oh no. Like my brain honestly was like, who played Harold?
Yeah.
And Harold and Kumar.
Well, it turns out, Jason, you're correct. Ding, ding, ding. You win the big prize. Door number 1 or door number 2.
Wow. Weirdly, I became prescient in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Cho. Yeah, it's a good choice.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think Keanu would have been a good choice. You think Keanu would have been a good choice?
I would have liked to see it.
Okay.
I would have liked to see it.
Fair.
He either really works or really doesn't work, though.
I don't think he would have worked.
You never get like a 7 out of 10 with Keanu, you know? It's either like a 10 or a 2.
Yeah.
So we learned that Spike is a hitman. We thought he was a bounty hunter, but he was a hitman on the run from a criminal syndicate known as the Red Dragon.
Okay.
And that's what leads him to abandoning them and taking on the Bebop. Now, Jason, I want to ask you, under a contemporary 2021 standpoint, is an ex-hitman on the run the protagonist that we need? It's not. I'm literally just asking for your opinion.
I mean, yes, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, John Wick's a hitman.
Yeah.
It's not the most. It's not the most forward-thinking character trait, but I will say this. For a cowboy story, for a Western story, there are plenty of stories about the hired gun who killed hundreds of thousands of people.
Or the professional outlaw.
And is like, his heart turns good because he walks into the right town or the right bar or meets the right woman. Shane is a perfect example of that. Yeah. More recent example is Godless on Netflix, also a Netflix series. That whole series is about like the best hired gun meeting this woman and like becoming good because of her. And then his old gang finds him and is like, what? You've been domesticated? Here, we got some beans. We don't got no peppers because this is a cowboy show.
Yeah, for real.
Anyways, this would be like the perfect episode for Tex Willerman to call in.
Well, then we better get him on the line.
We'll see. I don't know if he'd have anything to say about Cowboy Bebop.
I don't think he's heard of it.
I'm pretty certain. I'm pretty certain he has no idea what Cowboy Bebop is. So, I mean, do you think it's a wrong turn? Do you think they should update it?
No, I think it's fine. I think if you were creating this series now, it would not be the move. But he gets a good arc. Spike
Can I ask
does
you a question?
change.
Another question?
Of course, yeah.
As a person who has seen this show?
Yes.
Here's another thing from the outside, I will say, as an outsider to Cowboy Bebop. As much as people have talked about this show, I have expected this show to be like 300 episodes. And the fact...
There's a lot of anime is.
And the fact that it only is 26 to me is one... makes it very impressive to me that in only 26 episodes it has made this much of an impact.
Luminary, yeah.
And also it makes me happy because I'm actually like, oh wow, maybe there actually is a more real chance I'll watch this because there's only 26 episodes. Like if you're telling me
it's like one season of Arrow.
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me that there's 300 episodes, I'd be like, no chance in hell.
Well, then you're never gonna watch Attack on Titan. So the rest of the crew.
Yes.
Spike's right hand man is Jet Black. To not get too deep in the weeds.
Oh, sorry.
Jet is a former cop. So he is...
Former hitman, former cop.
Yeah. So he is like an ex-marshal or an ex-sheriff that we see a lot in Westerns.
I wanted to... sorry, my question that I never got to.
That's
I apologize.
Fine. I'm so sorry.
Make a wild prediction in terms of the Netflix series.
Yeah.
Do you think they change a lot? Or do you think it's almost going to be a literal adaptation?
Well, they've changed the race of almost every single character, so...
Beyond the surfacey details. Because to me, that's a surface detail.
The story?
Yes.
No, I think they stick pretty... Do
you think they stick really close?
I think the plan is for 26 episodes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think, yes. I think they stick pretty close to it. Yeah. Will they be able to pull it off? Like, I am interested when we watch the pilot, or if you watch the live action pilot... to see if they literally remake the shots, like Katarina falling out of the ship with the poison falling out of her belly.
I'll tell you what, too. And I know Netflix is not that interested in this because Netflix likes to change things. Yeah. They don't like to be little adaptations. But I don't know how many episodes are in the first season of Netflix's Cowboy Bebop. We could Google it really easily. But if there are 13 episodes...
2 seasons.
No. 1 hour long.
Oh.
If there is only 13 seasons, they literally could adapt every single episode in a single.
Well, there's
season.
only 2 currently credited, so
okay,
it's going to be 2 6-hour long.
We're just firing in the dark here, everybody. It's fine. All right. Yeah. So Jet Black, which is a cool name. He's the marshal. He's the retired marshal.
Yeah. He's being actually played in the live action series by Mustafar Shakir, who's the villain of season 2 of Luke Cage, if anyone remembers him. Cool. Really fabulous actor. He's a great
Did they explain how the lawman and the hitman got to be friends?
Of course they did.
Oh, okay, good.
Am I going to tell you? Probably not.
Please don't. I don't want to know.
Faye Valentine is the busty character with her tummy out and the bob, who you always see. Yes, she's the girl.
She is the subject of much internet controversy, which surprisingly.
Yeah.
And I think the actress is handling it very well.
Yes.
She basically slapped down the internet and said, real people don't look like that. Chill the F out.
Exactly.
Which I think is the correct answer.
She is from Earth. She is a talented con artist, but she's an amnesiac.
Oh, so she's a Wolverine.
Dun, 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 dun,
there are, by the way, also speaking of the Western tropes, there are so many Westerns with people that got hit on the head and can't remember where they came from.
Yeah, they all got hit on the head with people's frying pans.
No, they fall off horses.
They got hit on the bed with people's frying pans.
I mean, that happens too, but they fall off horses.
I know. They're lucky they didn't die falling off a horse. Then
I literally just watched a Western where somebody got hit in the head with a frying pan.
Was it The Harder They Fall?
No, I was rewatching an episode of Justified, and literally on yesterday, and the character Ava smacked somebody with a frying pan.
I mean, a cast iron skillet you could kill someone with.
Oh, it hurt.
Yeah,
it looked like it hurt. Sorry.
They are also joined by Ed. Ed is sometimes portrayed as female, sometimes portrayed as gender non-conforming by contemporary standards. Obviously, we didn't have the same language around that in 1998. Ed is the team hacker who is often teamed up with Ein. You may know Ein as the Corgi, who is biologically altered and hyper intelligent. So I was initially going to ask you when I was prepping this episode, who of the crew do you like best? But you haven't met like half of them.
Well, also to interrupt a little bit, I just found out it is 10 episodes. Netflix is 10 episodes. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there. And very nice gentleman on Twitter. I don't know if he's the showrunner, but the first episode to the Cowboy Bebop Netflix show is written by a writer that we both like, Christopher Yost.
Ooh, he's a great choice for this.
Christopher Yost, people, if you do not know, he's
written every cartoon you like.
He created and ran the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, what I think is the best Avengers cartoon. He's a comic book writer. He was a co-writer on Thor Ragnarok. But he's also like partly like he's a co-creator of X-23.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
He is a very excellent he is the writer of the pilot episode that Netflix showed.
Ooh, that's a big plus for me. So the big mystery of the series evolves around the ISSP. Jason, what do you think that stands for?
The ISSP?
The space anagram.
International...
You're about half right.
International Service Space Patrol?
No.
Okay.
Intersolar System Police.
I was kind of...
You were in the right ballpark.
Okay.
So remember when I said that Jet, for all intents and purposes, is a former cop? He is a former member of the Intersolar System.
He's a former member.
Police.
ISP.
Yeah.
Do they call it ISP?
No.
Or do they go ISSP?
ISSP.
ISSP?
Or the police.
No, ICUP. God, stop.
Funny colors. So big mystery is kind of what they're up to, what their true motivations are. Why Jet left their employ actually turns a lot of the crew's drama and involves a lot of where the series goes. Everybody over the course of these 26 episodes is faced to deal with the secrets of their past being uncovered. But Jets most often gets them into scrapes when they are bounty hunting or smuggling because they kind of take that Han Solo route, and that is what they're doing. A lot of the times. Now, Jason, I know you haven't really met the ISSP.
No.
Up to this point, but are you interested in science fiction stories that deal with evil space corporations? I would say like the Star Wars Empire or the Yellow Lanterns, or do you think it's a bit tropey?
It's a little tropey at this point. I will say that in 98, I think it wasn't.
That's fair.
But I think in the last 20 years, it's also hard in a 2021 world because we have spent the last the last decade basically looking at Amazon becoming the evil corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for, I think, because we're living with that. Yeah. Whereas in 98, I think it was a different story.
Well, I'm really interested to see, because this is Space Police, which is why I kind of made the Yellow Lanterns comparison. I am really interested to see if the Netflix series is going to explore what it's like to have police be the villains of your series. Oh. How much they're going to dive into that.
Interesting, which would be a very interesting metaphor for 2021.
Yeah, and that is something that can be really neat about adaptation, is you can pull out themes that were maybe not there or not as and strongly intended when it was originally made.
Interesting.
It's revealed pretty early on that, like I said, Faye comes from Earth. The crew's planets of origins often play integral parts in their personalities and where their dramas come from. So, Jason, you know that Spike is from Mars.
Spike's from Mars.
I told you when we started to watch it, and Spike told you in the episode. How do you think Spike stacks up next to the Martians from The Expanse?
What a weird question.
They're the most famous science fiction Martians are basically still people, like...
Is this where we're going to reveal that we're doing an Expanse episode coming up?
Sure, why not?
All right, well,
You've already done it.
Well, all right, there we are, listeners. It's a coming. The Martians, and Spike's a goofball, so the Martians in The Expanse would literally kick his ass several times over.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because, the Martians are
They tell him to stop asking about beef literally within 3 seconds.
That's true.
Never ask again.
We also learned that not only are Faye's origins on Earth, but she has been cryogenically frozen at some point in the past in order to save her life.
Okay.
So she's kind of a time traveler. She's not quite Captain America, but I think that's kind of neat. And a lot of the series drama on the surface is carried by Spike's animosity for another criminal named Vicious.
That's
so
you
know he's vicious.
Okay, it's a good name.
They hate each other because they're rivals in terms of what they do in the world and the space that they occupy, but also because Spike is kind of sort of sleeping with Vicious's girlfriend.
Okay.
And so Vicious tries to have Spike murdered in recompense.
Okay.
Including sending his girlfriend, who Spike had previously had relations with, to murder Spike. So that is sort of the crux of where their relationship comes from. And the bloody eye and the idea of this murderous rage carries on as well and is often used when they are pitting or being pit against each other. Mm-hmm. So that's like the surface level drama as he's trying to take down this syndicate leader named Vicious. Spike does eventually vie for leadership over the entire Red Dragon Syndicate. I will leave it to you to determine whether or not you think that goes south for him or not.
Mm-hmm. I don't really want to know anything more about it.
But through it all, he has the support of his crew, especially Jet and Faye. And what I like about their relationships in particular is they'll tell him he's an idiot to his face, but they also aren't going to let anything happen to him. And the more as I was writing this lesson and I was sort of trying to break down these characters and keep some of the spoilers away, the more and I mentioned this earlier, I was like, wow, this is the Firefly crew.
Oh, so this is where Joss Whedon got the inspiration.
I was like, there's no way. I'm not saying it's a direct lift, but there's no way that Joss Whedon didn't look at this or watch this. Like, to me,
or wasn't at least aware of
the archetypes at the very least are lifted from Cowboy Bebop.
Firefly was like 2002, I think, 2001. So very close to when this would have hit America.
Yeah, and when it would have been at the height of its popularity. Yeah. I mean, even down to like the janky quality of the ship. They're bounty hunters. They're fighting an evil corporation that's kind of a military. Like, it's wild to me how close the one-to-ones. Like, I'm sure there's an essay that somebody's written for Vulture or something like that about the comparisons between the two. Spike also has to go into hiding several times.
Okay.
The girl who he has been fooling around with is named Julia. She sometimes will join him in hiding. But often, if she's with him, a crew of hitmen get sent after him. So you do, like in the pilot episode where you kind of see Spike take down a huge crew of people. That happens in multiple episodes, usually because Julia's around. But he always wound up making it out with the crew of the Bebop. And the series eventually... So remember in the pilot, we saw this really weird scene where Spike was like on the roof of a building and he like lit a cigarette. And there were other people around him. And then we hard cut to the credits. And then the rest of the episode happened.
I don't remember that, but sure.
So that happened.
Okay.
That's actually a scene from the last episode. So like Breaking Bad, we sort of begin at the end. Because the series culminates in Spike fighting Vicious and a bunch of other people on top of a building. And it's a big gunfight, and we have to kind of see if he winds up victorious, who dies, probably a bunch of people. So in a lot of ways, it's a very simple story of a man against his rival with his crew. They all eventually tell their secrets and how they survive together. And that is your brief overview of the 26 episodes of Cowboy Bebop.
Nice.
So now we're going to ask Jason a bunch of questions to stress him out so he can have opinions.
Okay.
Okay, Jason, having seen only the pilot.
Yes.
I think this is a bit of an unfair question because I think there's really only one answer from the pilot. Who do you think is the best character?
It's clearly Jet Black.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Spike. The only character in that pilot really is Spike.
Yeah.
I don't have much option on that one. Yeah.
Did you... Aside from the fact that this part of the pilot really only exists to show you how cool Spike is.
Sure.
Did you actually like anything about Spike? Did you find him a compelling protagonist?
I think he's a flawed human.
Mm-hmm.
He's not likable in my respect. He is kind of an ass.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm fine with that because I know that archetype. And I've seen that archetype in several stories. I'm assuming his arc is that he's going to become a better human.
That's a fair bet.
And especially since you told me he's a hitman, I was like, oh, that's definitely what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, he will become hero is where we're going with this guy. So to be honest with you, for episode 1, for him to start as like a real kind of low dirtbag
piece of work, yeah.
I'm fine with that. That's fine. But no, do I like him? No.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What do you think was the best scene? And there's really only a handful of scenes in these 22 minutes.
I really think the best scene is the scene where I finally figured out what I think the show is trying to do. And that is when Spike confronts Azimov on that space station planet. I don't know, but it's like it's
Earth. They're on Earth.
Is that supposed to be Earth?
That's Earth. That's why it's a wasteland. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's like brown dirt and they're in front of the cafe or somewhere or the bar
yep.
and like the music starts to be like boom 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 and they start fighting before he gets in the ship.
Yeah.
That's like the moment where I was like, oh, that's also the moment where I said, oh, this is what Legend of Korra is ripping off.
You literally said that out loud, in fact. Yeah.
Or I was like, this is the tone.
Yeah.
When the gentleman who created Avatar, The Last Airbender, when they went to Nickelodeon, I was like, they literally used screenshots from this.
Oh, probably, yeah.
And said that we want to do Avatar, but Cowboy Bebop.
Because there are like those kind of pseudo steampunk jalopies and stuff like that in this Earth. Yeah,
and
exactly.
the music, they wanted that sort of like ragtime. They wanted that. That's what they wanted. So that to me is the best scene because it's also the scene that proves that Spike is actually good at what he does. That he's able to like face off with this dude almost fully hulked out and be able to actually hold his own.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's the best scene.
Before we get into your rating and the big ultimate question of this episode, is there anything else that you liked or disliked? Is there anything else that you want to talk about that I didn't touch on?
The music's good.
I pared down my notes a lot because I'm trying not to spoil anything.
The music's good. The art direction's good. I think the editing's really good. And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about in animation.
In anything.
The editing's really good. I don't know. I will say this is like one of the most difficult things I've ever had to talk about on this podcast in almost 400 episodes. It's hard to describe this show.
Yes,
and it's hard to talk about this show without me wanting to just ask you, well, what does that mean?
Yeah. Well,
You know, it's because there's so many things in this show that I think I have a handle on, but I'm not certain. It's like the way the show presents these ideas to me, it literally could be anything.
Well, there is a scene that we didn't really talk about when we talked about the pilot, but Spike goes and visits a shaman or a Native American leader and gets prophesied to. And it was interesting for me to hear it.
You said he basically tells you the entire show.
He basically tells you the whole show.
And for me, it meant nothing.
Yeah. It's sort of gobbledygook. And I thought that was very interesting that I was like, oh, wow, they always knew where this was going.
That intrigues me that I respect that because the minute you said that, I was like, oh, so they know exactly where they're going, or they have enough of an idea of where they're going.
Maybe they only knew the last scene, but they knew it was going to be the last scene. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That they have an idea of what they, so that impresses me because then that means that like the writing is there. I don't know. I think the music's good. There's not really anything else I can add. I mean, yeah. This is Cowboy Bebop is a hard show to talk about.
Yeah, it's a tough nut to crack. Okay, so then I'm going to ask you on a scale which we rate everything of 1 to 5 Bregos.
Yeah, Brego's over here currently sleeping.
5 being the best.
He fell asleep at minute 1 and he's never woke up.
It's like Cowboy Bebop's boring. There's no cats in it. There's a dog. There was a cat in this episode though, and it made it out of the gunfight.
There was a kitty in this episode. Yes.
How are you going to rate Stray Dog Strut? Cowboy Bebop's first episode.
Is that the actual title name?
Yeah.
Stray Dog Strut?
Yeah, in Japan, pilot? They don't call things pilot. No, they're fun.
It's funny because I think I was just looking, and I think in the Netflix show, I think their first episode's called Pilot.
It's an American production.
I know. On a scale of 5 being the best and 1 being the worst, I'm going to give Cowboy Bebop, the first episode, a 3.5.
Okay, so better than average.
Yes.
I think a solid B?
Yes, I think it's a B. I think it's a B with no plus or no minus. There's enough here. There is some interesting stuff. There is some stuff that I don't like that it does. But I think it's mostly positive. I think there's some really interesting art going on in here, and I think there's some really interesting creative decisions. The best I actually wrote this down on my notes, and I want to read it down because I think this encapsulates my viewpoint of Cowboy Bebop exactly.
Okay.
So first off, I'm like WTF with several exclamation points. Then it turns into effing awesome. Then it goes back to WTF question mark, and then it goes back to awesome.
Okay.
So to answer the big question that has been laying underneath this podcast the entire time.
It's a 2-part question. So,
will I watch more Cowboy Bebop anime? And my answer is, I'm willing to give it 5 more episodes.
I think that's fair. That's about an hour.
Yep. I'm willing to.
A little more than an hour.
I'm willing to see once the crew is all there. Where this goes. I'm not willing to commit to the entire show.
I think that's fair. That's totally fair.
I'm intrigued
enough.
And I do want to know more.
Cool.
And which is the reason why I was like, don't tell me more. Don't tell me more. I do want to see where this is going.
I will say it's really hard to pare down completely spoiler notes to be like, so they resolve their traumas and then everyone changes.
I thought you did a really good job.
Thank you. Can I ask you the ultimate question?
42.
Are you? Thank you so much. That is how many episodes Cowboy Bebop is.
Yep. How many rows does a man walk down?
Will you watch the live action Netflix series?
I will watch the pilot.
I'm only signed on for the pilot as well. Yep. So yeah, I'll check out the pilot.
I will tell you this. I have seen, before we watched Cowboy Bebop, I saw more of the live action than I had I watched the video they released that was of the opening credits.
Yes, and you were like, this is weird, and I was like, it's the anime
I was
opening.
like, this is very weird. And then they released a scene, and the scene is kind of like nothing I saw in the pilot, where the characters were like jumping in between their frames while they were doing a fight.
Oh, yes, that's a very Cowboy Bebop thing. Yeah.
But nothing like that happened in the pilot I saw. No. So my worry about the show, and I am intrigued by the show, and I was reading about the show a little bit while you were talking, where the actual showrunner of the show, that is not Christopher Yost, was saying, he was talking about his decisions and saying that he was like, I intentionally cast older actors to like so that they had more lifespan, and apparently they already have ideas for season 2.
Yeah, they have 26 episodes to base it off of.
Well, sure. And I bet you they're going to expand in certain points.
Yeah.
Have no doubts this is going to at least be a 3-season show.
I think it depends on how many seasons they have John Cho signed for.
Netflix, I guarantee you, is looking at this as a 3-season investment. Probably. Like all of their shows.
Well, if they did 10 episodes a season, that's 30. That's
almost 26.
That's pretty close to the original run. And it gives you
a little bit.
A bit of opportunity to spend a little more time on whatever interests you the most or your audience. So I actually wouldn't. I think that would be a very smart prediction, Mr.
I guarantee $100 million they signed John Cho for 3 seasons. I guarantee it.
Honestly, I hope they signed him for 1 and he bilks them for all their work.
The bigger problem will be when will his schedule allow them to film this? Because you're almost entering a Benedict Cumberbatch situation that he had when he first was cast as Doctor Strange and he was also doing Sherlock. Where you're like, well, where are we going to fit these in here? So I would not be surprised if maybe there are a
couple years,
2 or 3 years in between seasons.
Honestly, that's fine.
Fine with me.
Fine. If it's good, fine.
My worry with the live action is I worry the live action might be too goofy.
Because you're willing to forgive more in anime the same way you are willing to forgive more of a musical on stage versus on screen.
I will say to anybody out there that has made it this far, if you have not watched Cowboy Bebop, thank you for getting through the episode, because I don't know how you know anything about what we're talking about. But Ashley said something to me before we watched the episode that really allowed me to manage my expectations. And she said, remember, this was a show made in 1998. And I was...
Well, that's when it aired, so yeah.
Which I agree is that you should always view media in the time period it was released. You cannot put modern editing, cinematography, acting,
pacing
against a movie released in 1926. It will always fail.
And you'll miss out on some great movies that were made in those eras as well.
There's such great art. And to be honest with you, I'm so glad you said that to me, because it allowed me to adjust my expectations to Cowboy Bebop, I think, perfectly.
Great.
And there was some stuff that I would have normally called out that I was like, nah, 1998 show, kids cartoon. Fine. Or not really kids cartoon.
Not a kids cartoon.
I know. There's a buxom.
There's also a lot of blood. Like, it's a violent show.
Ashley said the word earlier. I won't repeat it, but there you go.
It is not a bad word. You said a worse word earlier than I said.
Did I?
You said ass.
Oh,
that's an actual swear.
There's a mule. That's the name of a mule.
Oh my gosh. Can we do the recommended reading?
I guess. What's the recommended reading? That's where we go to geekhistorylesson.com/recommended reading and you click on some stuff. I don't know. What is the recommended reading for a TV show?
Yeah, one, of course, Cowboy Bebop, the complete series.
Oh, okay.
Get the show. But also, it spanned exactly 2 manga spinoffs. So the first...
Have you read these?
I have not.
Okay.
But they are well regarded and they are canon.
They're canon.
They are canon.
Oh, okay. Can I ask you a question? You may not know this.
Yeah.
Do they take place after the series? I don't know. Or during the series?
I don't know.
Okay. From what you know of seeing the Cowboy Bebop show.
They'd have to be during it.
Has to be during, right?
Or prequels. But
everything you're telling me about Cowboy Bebop, I'm getting the impression that there is a concrete ending.
There very much is.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Which is good. Most Westerns should have a concrete ending.
Most things should have a concrete ending. So the first series is Cowboy Bebop Shooting Star. There's only 2 volumes. They package it together. Check that out. And then the second is just called Cowboy Bebop Manga. And there's 3 volumes in that.
Cowboy Bebop Manga.
If you like Cowboy Bebop and you haven't checked them out, like I'm going to be checking these out because now I'm rewatching the show and I'm into it. So why not join me? Check those out. Like Jason said, you can find all of that over at geekhistorylesson.com/recommended reading. Now it's time for Jason's favorite part of the show, the teaching tweet.
We're doing the teaching tweet?
Yes, we are, baby.
Oh, man. We have really entered. I am really out in another world full of bebop and all kinds of stuff.
And Rocksteady?
The teaching tweet is where... If you go to follow us on Twitter at GHL Podcast, this is a segment that I've been trying to cancel, my friends, for like 2 years now, but the audience keeps bringing back. If you go follow us on Twitter at GHL Podcast, Ashley's going to sum up everything you need to know about Cowboy Bebop without spoilers, I hope.
Yeah.
Or 140 characters, 2,075 characters. You can find that tweet over there on our Twitter. Ashley, please take it away.
Cowboy Bebop, space cowboys who changed the genre. That's it. That's all I got.
That's it. It's very simple.
It's true. It's what it is.
Okay.
The teaching tweets are hard to write, friends.
That's why I've been trying to get rid of them.
If you would like to volunteer to write them for us, please email us, geekhistorylesson@gmail.com.
We would love. We'll tell you. Oh, man, do we have a Twitter, a renowned Twitter author out there? Let's go.
Yeah, truly.
The next section is going to be the honor roll, everybody.
Woo!
This is a section I love. Okay, so this is where if you go to Apple Podcasts and you leave us a 5-star review, not only does it help other listeners like you find the podcast that bumps up the podcast in the search algorithm, but we read your 5-star review on the air. You literally can write anything, and international listeners, especially the ones in Manila City,
Manila. Yes, it's Manila. It was the neighborhood.
All of
Manila,
our Philippines listeners, if you're out there, send us a model of the Bebop. You can do that.
No, send us food.
I don't think it would last.
Oh, that'd be so good.
There's a shipping delay, Ashley. You know how long it'd be sitting outside of San Pedro?
Do you have a guest house?
17 months. Anyways, email us your international reviews. Take a screenshot of your 5-star review. Email it to us at geekhistorylesson@gmail.com. Ashley, who joins the honor roll this week?
2 sweet baby angels are joining us today. First is Connor Green 9, who says, love this podcast and how Ashley and Jason lay out the history and background of every character. I listen every morning during my 1-hour commute to work, and I can't go without it. I've probably listened to the Bat Family episode 10 times each.
Oh. And
then this is all in caps, so to do it justice, I'm going to lean away from my mic and read this properly.
Okay.
Please do a Plastic Man and a Booster Gold episode.
Well,
Love you guys. We did do a Booster Gold.
We answered Booster Gold, but Plastic Man's an interesting choice, my friend.
We know a couple good guests, I think, for that episode.
Oh, wrong sound effect.
Are you calling Tex Willerman to be on our Plastic Man episode?
Tex Willerman has 24th century technology? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, he does own a lot of Piggly Wigglies.
He owns 6 Piggly Wigglies now, specifically in Texas.
And a carnival?
He owns a carnival. He owns 6 Piggly Wigglies, a car dealership, and I believe he owns a boot store in Kansas City now. He is an entrepreneur. But what I meant to play for Mr. Sean? Connor is this. Thank you, Connor.
We just beamed Connor in. Now we're all hanging out.
We're gonna add the Plastic Man's a good request.
We have many Plastic Man requests.
That would be a fun episode. I could teach that.
Connor is also joined by Stimpy232000, who says, super fun and interesting. Fun and interesting by people who are passionate about the topics and relatable. Thanks, bud. Sweet, concise. Would you like to write our teaching tweet? This is a nice, short little review that you've given us, my friend.
Your sample that you submitted seems good to us.
We're going to pass you along, and we'll call you with a Zoom interview next week.
Do you like hashtags? Well, this is for them.
For Stimpy.
Yeah, not Ren, Stimpy.
Yeah. Let's not evoke that show.
Why?
Because the creator's bad. Do you not remember when that happened?
No, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, let's move on.
Now, Jason's going to tell you.
Oh, there's only 2 of them. I'm sorry.
All the good ways.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were waiting on one more. We only have 2 entries. Well, Connor and Stempy, come on into the Teacher's Lounge. Because you wrote us a 5-star review, you get to come into the Teacher's Lounge. Over in the corner of the Teacher's Lounge, I just want to tell you, there is a beautiful mountain watercolor painting that is done by Professor Watanabe. Now, Professor Watanabe, if you don't know, I'm talking about Shinichiro Watanabe, the artistic director of Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, that's right. He works at the Manga University. He does watercolors in the corner, and he's been trying to finish his one watercolor for 4 months. But every time he gets to the trees, to the
not
leaves,
happy little trees.
No. Mr. Jeremy Skinner of Jason and Jeremy John About Justice League keeps bumping the easel. And
that's why Catherine Hahn kicked him.
Professor Watanabe, I'm worried he's going to go ballistic. I'm a little worried. So this is actually more of a message instead of Connor and Stempy. This is more of a message to Jeremy, just to be like, watch yourself. Maybe only.
But look, we've sent in two helpers.
Maybe only be there in the afternoon. just trying to help you out, Jeremy. There you go. So everybody, don't forget to subscribe and listen to us everywhere you download podcasts, on Spotify, on Stitcher. Leave us reviews there. We love it. And if you have a friend out there who loves Cowboy Bebop and you think they would love this episode, share this episode to them. We'd really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Where, Ashley?
You can do that at facebook.com/geekhistorylesson or on Twitter at GHL Podcast.
And we also have a Patreon over at patreon.com/Jawiin. That's Jawiin. Over there, we do several exclusive podcasts, including one of my favorite podcasts to record every single month is I do love recording GHL. I don't mean to say that I love Jason. They give me different things. Those podcasts over there give me different things. These podcasts give me different things. I get different things from podcasts.
I'm going to go into the teacher's lounge and kick Jeremy so I feel better.
Oh, I love both podcasts. But one of my other podcasts that are my favorite to record is Jason and Jeremy John About Justice League.
I listen.
Ashley listens.
It's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
We do 2 episodes a month. We're reviewing Justice League the Animated Series. So if that sounds great to you, come over and join us at the Patreon. We also do Jason and Ashley's Excellent Adventure. We do so many Jason and whatever podcasts.
I'm telling you, I'm just waiting for Jason and Brego.
Oh boy, that would be a fun one. Just be me talking to Brego, like sit in the chair.
Catnip review podcast.
And we also do GHL Extra, which is more about the topic of the show. And this week, Ashley, what are we talking about?
We are talking about the best cartoon theme song.
And we're going to play them. This one's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come and do that. Ashley, where can they find you on Instagram and Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ashley V. Robinson. The V is very important. Send me cool Cowboy Bebop screen grabs.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jawiin. That's Jawiin. I do have a TikTok, but I forgot what my TikTok
Geek History
is.
Lesson.
Is it? Yes. You can come follow me over at Geek History Lesson on TikTok, because I'm thinking about doing some mini Geek History Lesson videos over there. So
also because you're famous enough that somebody stole your name.
Yeah, someone did steal my username.
TikTok.
All right, Ashley, we're here to the very end at the hashtag stick around, end of the podcast. What are we talking about?
So I want to ask you, because you commented on this during the show.
Oh, did your stick around change during the episode?
No, you commented on this when we were watching the actual episode.
Oh,
that's
Cowboy.
What I meant. I apologize.
Okay.
Why do you think Spike running is so weird?
Oh man, I wrote that down in my notes and I didn't bring it up during the thing. Spike runs like an ostrich, man. He runs like his feet are like splayed out and he like walks like a weird duck. It's so weird to me.
Yeah, why though? Like,
because it's not how a human runs.
But it's anime. It's like hyper stylized. Like, why is that the thing?
It looks so goofy. It looks like Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
It like really hit your uncanny valley of like weirdness. Yep. I feel like
it really did. It really did.
That's all I got.
That's all you got.
That's all I got. Why do you think Spike running is weird?
Oh, okay. All right. Actually, we have a call coming in. This is you calling him. You called?
No. Okay.
Hello, Miss Ashley Victoria Robinson, Tex Willerman, owner of Six Piggly Wigglies, a shoe store, and I think maybe a Blockbuster. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I hope you are doing well in your home state. It seems like it's wild right now.
It truly has become the Wild West down in Texas.
The Wild South. It's really not that west.
I live by San Antonio, by the way.
I don't know. I truly don't know where that is.
It's in the dusty part.
That's the whole state.
Basically.
So have you ever heard of Cowboy Bebop?
What now?
You gotta ask Kurt about it. I feel like Kurt's an anime bro. I feel like he's a weeb.
Look, I've heard about the cowboy hopscotch, and that is when you're riding too long and your legs get swampy, if you know what I'm saying.
Ugh.
And you have to use way too much talcum powder.
That's the grossest thing that's been said on this podcast.
Ashley, no, I heard somebody say something earlier in this pod.
That's way grosser. You evoked something way grosser than I did.
Look, I used metaphor. You just came out and said it. Now, I'm going to say something to you, Ashley, right now. Tex Willerman here, Texas cowboy from the dusty part of Texas, as we've encountered. Long-time listener and character of this podcast. How the hell, how dare you do an episode about cowboys and not invite Tex Willerman?
Look, I did not invite you when you were mentioned halfway through this episode.
What the GD fiddlestick hockey stick? Did I not get an invite?
You're trying not to curse is very funny to me.
It is very funny. I try to be straight up and contemporary.
You did wake up GHL intern Brego. He turned over.
Who?
It's our kitty.
Oh, you got a panther in there, do you?
Yeah, full panther.
I have 7 panthers.
We actually have
one of them ate my wife.
We actually, Julie, We actually have
That's what happened. That's why we divorced. That's why Julie died. A panther ate Julie.
We actually have a Western mountain lion. It's Jason's demon, as discussed 2 years ago on Geek History Lesson. Last year, I don't know.
Oh, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Good for getting field mice.
A Western panther?
Yeah.
A Western puma?
That's how you can survive. Anyways, I just want to say, if you ever have a cowboy episode again, I better be invited. In fact, I think I might be coming to an episode very soon here. You want to give it a little shout out? No, you've been talking to my agent.
Kurt?
Or has my agent been lying to me again? Which has been happening?
Who's your agent?
Huh?
Who are you repped by? CAA?
No,
UTA? WME?
No.
FBI?
No.
NSA.
I've been misrepresented by the FBI.
I believe that.
But my agent is a man, lives in Hoboken, New Jersey, called Lynn Thundersnatch.
Wow. Wow.
What? That's his name.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Look, you can say all these words like Cowboy Bebop, but I can't say thunder.
You can do whatever you want, baby. You're from Texas. It's the Wild West.
Well, I might be mispronouncing his name, so I'm just saying this. Anyways, you do a cowboy episode, Tex Willerman better be invited.
Yeah, but I do believe you are joining us before the end of the year.
Am I joining you
for some nuptials?
Nuptials? I don't know about that. Anyways.
Yeah, you're getting married.
Anyways, everybody, I just hope you enjoyed this cowboy episode. I hope it was good. I hope there were a lot of horse talk.
Sure.
Was there a lot of horse talk?
We talked about models.
Models?
Yeah.
You mean like sailing ships?
Sure.
Did you put a sailing ship in a bottle?
No.
Did you miniaturize a horse and put it inside a bottle?
Absolutely.
All right, then I'll give you a pass.
Yes, good. And?
I'll give you a pass. I'll give you a pass.
And I sold it on eBay.
Should we talk about my agent again? Should I mention that name?
I really don't know if we should evoke
Maybe
that.
I'll get out of here. All right, well, thank you so much, darling.
Okay, you going to hang up the phone?
If I knew how, I would. I'm just going to walk away.
Click.
What?
No, I hung up on you.
Am I still on the air?
Oh, my God.
I just picked up the phone again. I think I'm still on the air, ain't I? Why don't you click up on me?
We're not on the air.
We're not?
It's
What?
not how podcasting works.
It's pre-recorded?
Yeah, this is batch,
like
baby.
A reel-to-reel.
Yeah.
Like the 8mm.
I can't tell if you are acting something out or trying to tell me to wrap it up.
No, what? I can't see you. I'm on the phone.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
All right. I got to take care of this emergency over to Piggly Wiggly.
Okay.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Click.
Bye. Oh, wait, look, he learned how to hang up the phone.
I guess he did, Ashley.
Wow. How charming.
He's a charming fella, isn't he? Anyways, thank you so much, listeners, for our diatribes. If you don't know who Tex Willerman is, go listen to our Nightcrawler episode.
Oh, my God.
He has made several appearances, but I'm always aware that this might be somebody's first episode. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. I thought Ashley did an excellent job with Cowboy Bebop. I am Jason Still Want the Model Inman.
I am Ashley Victoria Robinson, Nightcrawlers episode 225.
And Professor Ashley, will you please dismiss the class?
Class is now dismissed.